Hello and welcome to Quiz Class. Today we will be testing your knowledge on the 1950s. Here we have our Quiz Class awards. Let us know how you rank in the comments at the end. We will be looking at different categories, of which those are culture and traditions, world history, economics and business, science and geography, entertainment and sports. So let's begin with culture and traditions. Which American musician sang the 1950s hit Hound Dog and Heartbreak Hotel? Elvis Presley, Bill Haley, or Ray Charles? Elvis Presley. Paris celebrated its what birthday anniversary in 1951? The 2000th, the 2011th, or the 2012th? The 2000th. What was John J. Kelly's 1957 Boston Marathon course record? 2:20, 2:02, or 2:20 and 5? Two minutes, 20 seconds, and 5 nanoseconds. Which fictional town was the Andy Griffith Show set in? Mulberry, Mayberry, or Richmond? Mayberry. The trifle, the classic American dessert, did not consist of a layer of what? Custard, sponge cake, or crushed graham crackers? Crushed graham crackers. Which artwork is Andy Warhol popularly known for? Look Mickey, Soft Toilet, or Campbell's Soup Cans? Campbell's Soup Cans. Which food tradition gained popularity in the US in the 1950s? Barbecuing, Sunday roasts, or pot roast? Barbecuing. Holden Caulfield is the young man in which 1951 novel? The Illustrated Man, Prince Caspian, or The Catcher in the Rye? The Catcher in the Rye. Which Indian served as Prime Minister for 17 years from 1947 to 1964? Narendra Modi, Indira Gandhi, or Pandit Nehru? Pandit Nehru. Pizzeria Uno popularized what in the 1950s? Deep dish pizza, thin crust pizza, or pan pizza? Deep dish pizza. Which British monarch began her rule in 1952? Queen Elizabeth, King George IV, or Queen Elizabeth II? Queen Elizabeth II. Who was the second Dalai Lama to seek exile in India in 1959? The 14th, the 13th, or the 12th Dalai Lama? The 14th Dalai Lama. Which canned meat gained popularity in South Korea due to the American military presence in the early 50s? Spam, hot dogs, or salami? Spam. MREs were originally designed for use by who? Girl Scouts, the military, or campers? The military. When did Christian Dior come to America? 1928, 1968, or 1948? (1948). Who was the richest person in the 1950s? J. Paul Getty, John D. Rockefeller, or Henry Ford? J. Paul Getty is the answer. Which dish emerged in the rural Quebec snack bars in the 1950s? Potato casserole, potato au gratin, or poutine? Poutine. 21 was an American television game show hosted by who? Jack Barry, Dan Enright, or Conan O'Brien? Jack Barry. Which subculture emerged among the youth in the US in the 1950s? The greasers, the punks, or the emos? The greasers. Which Pakistani prime minister was assassinated in 1951? Liaquat Ali Khan, Imran Khan, or Muhammad Ali Jinnah? Liaquat Ali Khan. And let's move over to world history. The 1950 to 1953 war in the Korean Peninsula was fought between which two regions? North and South Korea, Manchuria and South Korea, or Japan and South Korea? North and South Korea. Who was the American president in the early 1950s? JFK, Franklin D. Roosevelt, or Harry Truman? Franklin D. Roosevelt. Cambodia gained independence from France in 1952, 1953, or 1954? 1953. Who was the first chairman of the People's Republic of China? Mao Zedong, Chiang Kai-shek, or Sun Yat-sen? Mao Zedong. What was the purpose of the U.S. policy of brinkmanship? To control the spread of communism, to control the spread of Nazism, or to control the spread of fascism? To control the spread of communism. The Cuban Revolution took place in 1953 and led to the overthrow of Che Guevara, Fidel Castro, or Fulgencio Batista. Fulgencio Batista. Which country was not a signatory of the Warsaw Pact? Poland, the Soviet Union, or Germany? Germany. Which Soviet premier initiated the de-Stalinization process? Nikita Khrushchev, Vladimir Lenin, or Leon Trotsky? Nikita Khrushchev. First sub-Saharan African country to gain independence from colonial rule was South Africa, Ghana, or Libya? Ghana. Canada was the third country to launch an artificial satellite into space. When was their Alouette 1 satellite launched? 1949, 1951, or 1962? (1962). The Warsaw Pact was established to counter which Western military alliance? SEATO, NATO, or CENTO? NATO. Libya was previously a colony of who before becoming independent in 1951? Germany, Russia, or Italy? Italy is the answer. What was the capital of Canada in 1951? Toronto, Ottawa, or Kingston? Ottawa. NATO was a military alliance consisting of Western countries, excluding what country? East Germany, Luxembourg, or Iceland? East Germany. When did Queen Elizabeth II become the head of the Commonwealth of Nations? 1953, 1952, or 1951? 1952. Who was Robertson Davies? A Canadian novelist, a Canadian Nobel Prize laureate, or a Canadian Prime Minister? A Canadian novelist. Winston Churchill represented which political party? The Labour Party, the Conservative Party, or the Liberal Party? The Conservative Party. When did British Prime Minister Anthony Eden resign? 1959, 1945, or 1957? (1957). Which country gained ownership of the Suez Canal during the Suez Crisis? Egypt, Israel, or Saudi Arabia? Egypt. Operation Hurricane in 1952 was the first what kind of nuclear test? American, British, or Soviet? British. And let's move over to economics and business. The output and productivity of an economy are measured by GDP, GNP, or HDI. GDP. The Great Leap Forward was an economic campaign implemented in which Asian country? China, Japan, or Indonesia? China. Who popularized women's tweed suit jackets in the 50s? Christian Dior, Louis Vuitton, or Coco Chanel? Coco Chanel. When imports exceed an economy's exports, it leads to an imbalance of trade. This situation is called budget deficit, trade deficit, or opportunity cost. Trade deficit. The event of Black Tuesday marked the beginning of events that led to the what? Great Depression, 2007 financial crisis, or the Panic of 1907? The Great Depression. What was the first private company established in India? British East India Company, Portuguese East India Company, or Dutch East India Company? British East India Company. What is not a consequence of inflation? Diminishing purchasing power, rising prices, or increased economic growth? Increased economic growth, which was not a consequence of the Great Depression. Unemployment, decreased government intervention, or poverty. Decreased government intervention. Which American automotive manufacturer introduced the Corvette? Ford, Chevrolet, or Cadillac? Chevrolet. And we're halfway through to question 50. The Diners Club card was introduced in 1950, and it was the first universal credit card, travel card, or debit card. Credit card. Which car is the Spirit of Ecstasy, the hood ornament on? Mustang, Ferrari, or Rolls-Royce? The Rolls-Royce. When a government limits the imports of cotton into its economy, which sector is likely to benefit? The local cotton producers, the government, or the foreign cotton producers? The local cotton producers. Let's go places is the slogan of which car company? Ford, Toyota, or Fiat? Toyota. Question 54. The rate of increase in prices of goods and services in an economy is indicated by deflation, recession, or inflation. Inflation. Patek Philippe is a Swiss luxury brand manufacturing what? Watches and clocks, dress shoes, or tuxedos? Watches and clocks. Which fast food chain was founded in 1953? McDonald's, KFC, or Burger King? McDonald's. Luigi Chinetti brought the first Ferraris into the United States in which year? 1962, 1954, or 1938? (1954). Which is not a U.S. global franchise? Marriott International, Subway, or Erewhon? Erewhon. When did the Vietnam War begin? 1946, 1954, or 1948? 1954. Question 60. The 2023 film starring Margot Robbie and Ryan Gosling is named after which toy that was introduced in 1959? Lego, Barbie, or Super Mario? Barbie, of course. And let's move over to science and geography. Which Soviet satellite was launched in 1957? Sputnik 1, Sputnik 2, or Sputnik 3? Sputnik 1. Which molecular structure was discovered in 1953 by Watson and Crick? RNA, DNA, or TNA? DNA. The first videotape recorder was invented by Charles Ginzburg in what year? 1951, 1950, or 1952? (1951). Who created the vaccine against polio? Jonas Salk, Alexander Fleming, or Thomas Francis? Jonas Salk. The U.S. competed with which country in the space race? France, China, or the Soviet Union? The Soviet Union. Question 66. The first microchip prototype was assembled in 1958 by who? Richard New, Jack Kilby and Robert Noyce, or Arthur Mellon? Jack Kilby and Robert Noyce. The symbol for chemical element californium discovered in 1950 is CF, SG, or CA? CF. Where was the Bandung Conference attended by Asian and African leaders held? India, China, or Indonesia? Indonesia. The Assam Tibet was the largest earthquake in the Himalayas. What year did it take place? 1951, 1955, or 1950? 1950. Albert II was the first dog in space, man in space, or monkey in space? Monkey in space. In which decade did the USSR-China relations deteriorate, leading to China's research and development of nuclear technology? In the 60s, in the 50s, or in the 1980s? in the 1950s? How many large islands made up Hawaii when the territory became a U.S. state in 1959? 12, 5, or 8? Eight. The 1955 Kilauea volcano eruption lasted for how many days? 23, 134, or 88? 88. Where was the 1950 FIFA World Cup final held? Barcelona, Maracana, or Madrid? Maracana. The symbol for chemical element mendelevium, discovered in 1955, is Me, MM, or MD? MD. Luna 2 was the first space probe to hit the surface of the moon, and it was launched by the USSR, NASA, or Britain? The USSR. Question 77. NASA, the American Space Administration, was established in 1955, 1957, or 1958? (1958). Which spacecraft carried the dog Laika in 1957? Sputnik 1, Sputnik 3, or Sputnik 2? Sputnik 2. In which year did Hawaii become the 50th U.S. state? 1951, 1950, or 1959? (1959). Who discovered the chemical element einsteinium in 1952? Albert Einstein, Stanley Thompson, or Albert Ghiorso? Albert Ghiorso. And let's move to entertainment and sports. For question 81, which 1956 movie did Elvis Presley star in? Forbidden Planet, The King and I, or Love Me Tender? Love Me Tender. Annie Get Your Gun in 1950 was a horror movie, an animation, or a musical? A musical. Who played Sabrina Fairchild in the 1954 film Sabrina? Marilyn Monroe, Vivien Leigh, or Audrey Hepburn? Audrey Hepburn. Question 84. Which movie personality later became a politician and the 40th U.S. president? Jimmy Carter, Ronald Reagan, or Arnold Schwarzenegger? Ronald Reagan. Playboy was an American men's lifestyle magazine founded in 1953 by who? Hugh Hefner, Arthur B. Turner, or Helen G. Lazareff? Hugh Hefner. Fiddler on the Roof was a musical based on a poor Russian family, British family, or Jewish family? Jewish family. Ronald Reagan was a host during the broadcast of the opening of which amusement park in 1955? Disneyland, Universal Studios, or Cedar Point? Disneyland. Passport Out is a character from which novel? Around the World in 80 Days, Journey to the Center of the Earth, or 2 Years' Vacation? Around the World in 80 Days. Who was not a player of the NHL Detroit Red Wings team? Adam Fox, Red Kelly, or Gordie Howe? Adam Fox. In 1956, Althea Gibson became the first African American to win a major musical event, tennis event, or badminton event? Tennis event. High Society was which actor's final movie before she got married? Doris Day, Jane Mansfield, or Grace Kelly? Grace Kelly. Which athlete set a Boston Marathon course record in 1957? Joe Smith, Franjo Michalik, or John J. Kelly? John J. Kelly. River of No Return is a 1950s what? Western film, horror movie, or musical? Western film. Question 94. Who was the artist behind the artwork Marilyn Diptych, or Diptych? Peter Blake, David Hockney, or Andy Warhol? Andy Warhol. Who was the first Real Madrid football player to win a Ballon d'Or? Raymond Kopa, Alfredo Di Stefano, or Cristiano Ronaldo? Alfredo Di Stefano. Audrey Hepburn was born in which country? Belgium, the UK, or the US? Belgium. Which American actress became Princess of Monaco in 1956? Judy Garland, Grace Kelly, or Elizabeth Taylor? Grace Kelly. Who did Joe Louis fight in his comeback in 1950? Leon Spinks, Ezzard Charles, or Muhammad Ali? Ezzard Charles. Question 99. George Orwell's novel Animal Farm was adapted into what? A series, a TV show, or an animation in 1954? An animation. And for our 100th question, The African Queen, 1951, starred who? Katharine Hepburn, Audrey Hepburn, or Grace Kelly? Katharine Hepburn. And our bonus question, what do the Canadians celebrate on July 1st? Let us know the answer in the comments, and also how you ranked with our Einstein rewards. We'd love to hear from you. And of course, thanks for playing this quiz. Don't forget to hit that like button, and we will see you next time. Bye-bye.